Okay, in this tutorial we are going to learn how to create a slider like this, a simple slider like this. So we are going to create this slider effect. As you can see, we are having 3 cards. This is our second card and this is our third card. When you click on next, it goes to the first card. Click on next. You can click on the left arrow to go to the previous, goes to the last. Okay, so I'm going to teach you guys how to create a simple slider effect like this. Okay, let's go straight to our coding. Okay guys, this was the last place we stopped. We designed our nav bar. Okay, let's continue from here. So now let me give our nav bar a background color of violet. And this is our nav bar container. Let's give it a background color of violet. Let's see what it looks like now. Okay, this is nice. And we also went to our inputs and did an outline of none, so that whenever we hover on it and tap, we don't have the border. Let me just show you how to do that. You go to your input search. This is it, outline none. Let me show you. Let me delete this so you see what I'm talking about. See, when I click on it, it shows this border. When I click out of it, it doesn't show it. So in order to avoid this, when you want to type something, just give it an outline of none. Okay, so that should be fine now. Okay, straight up, let's go into our slider. Let's design a slider for our application. Okay, now this is going to be a component on its own. So we're going to go to component and create a folder. We're going to call it slider. That's what it's going to be. So inside this slider folder, we're going to create our JSX and CSS. So we're going to create a file. I'll call it slide capital. When you're creating a component, you see slider, capital letter S, slider dot JSX. Let's create the CSS slider dot CSS. Okay, that's fine. So now let's go into our JSX and just put in our short code to create our function for us, REACJs. Yeah, so now we're going to give this a class name of container. A class name of container. Okay, then inside this we're going to create 2 divs. That will be our arrow, because we're going to have a left and right arrow. Let's just give it a div. It's going to represent our arrow. So we're going to give it a class name of call this one left. Give it another class. When you want to write another class, you don't need to write class name again. Just go give it space. I'll call this one arrow left. Or let's call this arrow. Let's call this one arrow. arrow. So that will be common for our two arrows. Then we'll call this arrow left. Okay, let's duplicate this because we're going to have two of it, left and right. Remember, use your shift, alt and down arrow to duplicate. So this one we'll call arrow right. Okay, call this one left. Or you know, let's just go straight to what we are doing. So inside this first div, we're going to go to our material UI and get our arrow that we're going to use. Just type mui.com. Okay, just go to material icons. All we actually need here is, call it arrow. I think this is what we need here. Arrow left, arrow right, arrow left, arrow right. So let's just go into it. Okay, so this is what we need. Import arrow left outline. So we just from at mi/icon-material. So we are going to do named. These when you import like this, let me just take this. Let me just take this. Okay, so what we just need is arrow left outlined. Let's take away the icon. And put our curly braces around it. That's for how you do named import. Then we're going to just say, yeah, from at MUI/icon-material. So let's bring in our arrow left here. Let's bring in let's import our slider component into our home page so we can see it in our browser. Okay, this is our arrow. This is arrow left. So let's duplicate and make an arrow right. Let me close up those. Let's duplicate this down and change it to arrow right outlined. Okay, let's see. Sorry, let's import it. We have not imported it. Okay, let's check our browser now. Okay, they are here now. Okay, what we do now is that let's just go to our styling and just give a little styling so we'll see what is happening here. We're going to go to our CSS and do a styling for our container, do a styling for our div arrow, called it slider container. Okay, so what we're going to do here, we are going to give it a width of 100%. We're going to give it a height of of 100 VH. That's viewport height. That's the entire height of our screen. And we're going to give it a display of flex. Let's see what it looks like now. So let's import our, I keep forgetting this, let's import our CSS into our component. So import dot slash slider dot CSS. So I'll start with peak now. Yeah, I'll give it a display of flex. So let's now style our arrow. Call it arrow. Yeah. We'll say width. Give it a width of 50 px. Give it a height of 50 px also. And we'll give it a border radius of 50%. Let's just see, look at it. Let's give it a background color so that we can see our circle, our button. Let's give it a background color of black, then we shade it out. Give it a lighter shade of black. So let's see. You can see it. So now you see that our arrow is not at the right position. It's meant to be at the center. So how do you do that? It's very easy. Let's make this even lighter. Okay, so what you do, you say display flex, align items, center, and justify content, center. Let's check it. See, it's at the middle now. Okay, now where do we want our arrow to be? We actually want to position it somewhere here in the middle and have them spread apart. So what we do now is just say top 0, bottom 0, and margin auto. So let's check it out. So you see they are right here now. Yeah, but we want them to spread to each end. So let's just check if this is going to apply. Let's do arrow left. Oh, sorry. Dot arrow left. Left, we say left 10 px. And arrow right. we'll say write 10px. Yeah, so we give our arrow here position absolute. But remember, when you give any element a position of absolute, make sure the parent element has a position of relative. Position of relative. Because presently the parent element, which is the div, is the last element. If we have an element encircled that encircles these arrows, it's going to float out of it. So we've given the parent, which is the container div, a position of relative. So even if this one is absolute, it will be confined in the div, container div, which has received a position of relative. You can still do your finding on that to get more understanding. Okay, so what do we need to do now? Yeah, so take note, it is this left 10px and right 10px that gave us the padding. Sorry, yeah, the padding to the left and right. This, we have 10px here, 10px right. Let me remove one of them so that you see what I'm talking about. Let me just take off this right. You see, it has floated away from that point. It's now here. It's now here. So let me put it back. So it will go back to its position. Yeah. So what do we need to do now? So we want to have a slider wrapper in between our arrow. So let's create another div. Give it a class name of slider wrapper. Okay, so inside our slider wrapper, we are going to have a slide, another div. This is going to be our slide. I'll give it a class name of slide. We are going to have 3 slides. So inside this slide, we are going to have 3 of it. But let's design the first slide first, then we'll duplicate. So what we're going to have inside of it is going to be 2 divs. One is going to have a container of image container and an info container. Let's just do that quick so you see what I'm talking about. Give it a class name of image container. Then inside of it we have an image tag, an img tag. I'll give it a source. Let's just put this first. We'll later come here and give it a source. We import an image and put it right here. So we have our image container. So let's duplicate this. We're not going to be having an image here. I'm just going to, then we give this one info container. info container. Capital letter. You know, our styling is written in camel case. If you are adding two words together, the following words, is better you just do differentiate. You better you make it a uppercase. Yeah, so I think this is causing an error. Let's just remove this first of all. So right here we'll have 3 elements, an H1, a span, an H1, a paragraph, and a button. So let's do that now. We give our H1, a class of title. That will be our title, class name of title. Next we have a paragraph. We'll give it a class name of description, class name of let's just call it P description. And we create a button under it. So we just call this one shop now. Okay, for this title now, what we can see here is let me see, just say electronics. Yeah, so paragraph, we can say for description, we say get the, actually small letter here, get the best electronics. Okay, so we need, for this our div with an image, we need to import, let's import an image first of all. So let me go into my folder and see what I have. Let me import this radio. This is, take note, the name of the radio, what we named it is Pix 10, and look at it, item here, item, look below, you see item type, the file type, the image type is JPG. So take note of that. So first of all, what we'll do now is we go into our assets. Remember I told you is this asset folder that we'll use. We go into our assets. Sorry, let's copy this file. Okay, copy this file. We'll go into our folder, go into our source folder, go into our assets, and paste that file there so we can import it into our component. So I'll show you how we import it. If you look at our asset right now, you see it pix10.jpg. So what you do is this, you call it a name, you say import, let's call this, let us say product1. This is how you import folders into your component, import images into your component. Let's just call it product1 from /assets /pix10 .jpg. think we are right at this. Okay, I think this import is wrong. We need to go dot dot slash dot dot slash. I think that would do. Okay, our product is here now, so let's do our styling. So just take a look at this now. We're going to style this and you see how good this will look after we style. So we go into our slide. Yes, the slider wrapper. We give it a height of 100 px. Sorry, 100%. Give it display flex. Because we are going to have inside of it, remember we have a slide. We are going to have two more slides. So for them to align horizontally, we need to give it display flex. So let's go into our slide now. So remember we have two components inside our slide, which is image container and info container. So we give it display flex. We give it height of 100 VH and a width of 100 VW. That is viewport width. Okay. We give it align items center. See it? The two of them are now, the image is inside the div container and these three elements are inside the info container. So we are going to give them a flex one so they both have equal sizes. So we go into our info container. Now let's do image container first. Follow the order. Image container. What am I typing? Image container. And we give it a height of 80%. Let's try that. You know, the parent, when we say image container, let's give it a height of 100% first. Let's just try something here first. Height 100%. Okay. Let's give this image a class name. Call it image. So we give C. And we give it a width of, let's try a width of 100%. Let's give this image container flex 1 so that you have equal size. And info container. Sorry, I want to have a dot here. Flex 1. Okay, see, this is big now, so let's adjust it. We give it a height of 80% for the image itself. I think let's remove this width. Okay, this is fine. They are now having equal size, the both containers. So let's style our info container. Let's give it a padding of 50 px. Let's give it a padding of 50 px. Okay. Sorry, this style is not picking. We are meant to put capital letter C here. 50 px. You see, I've given a padding of 50 px, so at these edges it's going to receive padding of 50 px. Let's give it display flex. And align items center. Okay, we gave it display flex. So the reason why you see it here, they are displayed horizontally. We don't want them to display horizontally, we want them to display vertically. So how do you do that? What you do is just say flex direction column, flex direction column, and you see they are going to be aligned vertically. So now let's work with our, let's style our title, p description and button. So we say title, yeah, we give it a, say font size. Let's give it a font size of 30 px. Yeah, font width, let's give it a font width of bold. Yeah, let's see. See, that's, oh, that 30 px is too small. Let's give it 50 px. Let's try 50 px. Okay, that's better. Okay, let's style our paragraph now. Our description as our p tag. So let's say, what do we call it? Let's check. What do we call it? It's a p description. I call it a p description. Yeah, that's p description. So we say font size, let's say 25 px. Or what do we do now? Font size 25 px. Let's give it a padding top and bottom so that to space out the other elements since it's at the center. Let's give it a padding top and bottom 25. Let's just say 20 px. Left and right 0 px. Let's check it out. Okay, yeah, let's give it a letter spacing of 2 px. a spacing of 2px. 2px. Okay, it's looking better a bit. Let's do text align center. Let's see if that will apply. Text align center. Okay, that's better. It's looking finer now. Okay, let's transform all this to uppercase. Let's try text transform uppercase. Text transform uppercase. Okay, let's reduce this font size. Let's make it smaller. Let's say font size 20px. Okay, better. And let's tell our button. Okay, so for the button, let's just give it a class name. Of shop. Let's check. Okay, the style is picking up now. Okay, so let's give it a background color of transparent. And the cursor of pointer. Let's give it a font size of 20px. Let's see. Okay. We have a default styling that is making this on hover changed color, but let's just leave it. Let's leave it so that it won't slow us down. Okay, I think this is beautiful. You see, we have already styled this. This is looking good. Let's give this a margin. Let's see if it's going to push our radio a bit to the side. Let's give our image container some padding rather. Let's say padding 20px or 30px. Okay, that's pushed it to the side a bit. Let me do 50px, let me say 40px. Let me still increase it. Let me do 50. So you can see how we are styling right in the browser. Okay, this is good. So what we now do is that we duplicate our slide and have 3 copies, because we want to have 3 copies. Just see what I'm going to do now. Let's duplicate it. This is it slide? Okay, this we're going to duplicate this and have 3 copies of it. I just want to show you something. Okay, you can see we're having 3 copies of it now. Yeah, so let's now go to our parent component, which is our container, and do an overflow of hidden, so that we don't see the 3, because we don't want to see the 3. Or what we want to do is that when we click on the button, we have a slide. Overflow of hidden. You see what happened here? So we can't see it anymore. We can't see it anymore. We're going to create a function that is going to make our button work. We're going to have a slide. So let's, okay, so what we need to do here is we're going to take some time off to go and create a data. We're going to create an array that's going to give us information of our 3 of our three cards. It's going to give us an image, a title, a description. Yeah, because we are going to use a map method. We are going to do a little bit of JavaScript right now. So let's just go with that now. Or let me show you something before we go. Okay, I just want to show you something real quick. Look at this slide. Let's give it a style. I want to show you something here. Do it inline style. So we do transform, translate, X, give it a 100 px, minus 100 px. I think that's what we're supposed to do, is minus 100 px. Okay, look at this now. You see the radio is showing by the side. Let's increase it. Let's increase it to 200. Let's increase it to 300 so that we see more of it. You can see it has shifted to the side. You get, so this is the concept we are going to be using. By the time we are done creating our slider, we are going to be changing this value so that every time we click on our button, this value changes. I just wanted you to see the styling, because when you use transform, translate, and you put a value in there and you use minus, it's going to bring out whatever is hidden. No, we did overflow it in our parent element, which is our container. So now that we're using minus 300, it's going to push to the side on the x-axis 300 px. I just wanted us to see that. Good. Let's create in our source folder, let's create a dummy data. We'll create a folder, call it dummy data. So inside our dummy data, we're going to create a file. We'll call it slide data. .js. Okay, so right here we are going to create an array. So we are going to do this. This is how you do named export. You say if export const, let's call it slide info. Sorry, let's just call it export const slide export const. Let's also call it slide info. It's equals to an array. Okay, an array of objects. So let's bring out our object syntax. So just do a comma here. Let's duplicate this. Let's do a comma first, then duplicate. So in the first one, we're going to be having object. The way object is in key value pairs. So our key, first of all, is going to be an ID. Say ID. Our colon, I'll say 1. When you're writing numbers in object, you don't use the quotation mark. What will be the second value? Let's say image. Now let's go and take that image that we imported, because it's here we actually need it. We already have our image. I think that's all we need. So we need to create another copy of this here. we edit it. We need. Okay, I think this is good. So what do we do now? Just check what's going to happen here. Okay, we need to bring in our let's do a duplicate here. We need to import our images. I'll call this product 2 and product 3. So we need to import those images into our assets. Let's go and do that right away. What images do we need? Okay, well, we take this also. This pix 18, it's also JPG. You see it, JPG. Paste it here. Okay, so let's go to our, I think this is and pix 18. Yep, I think we are good. So let's import our, you see we did a named export here, export const slide info. So let's go and import it. Yeah, let's go to our component and import it. Do that at the top right here. So we say import what do we call it, slide info. Is a named export tag, remember, slide info. It has helped us to the import slide info from, this is the second slide. Okay, we are good now. So in JavaScript, when you want to write JavaScript in your XML, remember, don't forget this is an XML. You use curly braces. So what do we want to do? We want to map through our slide info, where we have our data, our information, our array of objects. So this is how we do it. We say slide info dot map. This is a default method in React array dot map, and it takes an arrow function. So this item represents all the data we have, in our array. So what do we want to do now? We're going to now take this and paste it in there, because we want to map through. Yeah, so this is our slide. So this image now will be item dot img. This title will be item dot title. Use curly braces and render your item. Say item dot title to, and this description will be item dot description. Sorry, item dot description. Missed T here. Item dot title. What else do we have? Item dot image. And when you are mapping through an array, yeah, the first element, the parent element in the map, you give it a key, so you don't have errors in your code. You give it a key. It will not break your code, but it's important, it's good you do this. Give it a key. item.id to identify your separate arrays. Item.id. Yeah, so I think this is good. Let's see what we have now. Oh, are we having an error here? Okay, let's check. Let's try to fix this error. Okay, I see the error. You know, initially when our slide components and we were in our component folder, or we're in our slide I think slider folder. So this is not what we are supposed to do here. Google form. This is a wrong import. Sorry. Dot slash. Yeah, you're supposed to go into our dummy data one step down into the file. That's it. Yep, so that's okay now. So let me show you what we did the other time to show you we have our second slide at the corner. Let's go to our slide.css. Let me give it a, let me see where that transform, translate x, let me give it minus 300 px. Let me see if that will apply. You can see it. We have our other slides, but we have used overflow hidden, so we can't see. So let me remove that. I just wanted to show you. Yep, so now we are going to use our state variable. So we have a hook, a React hook called useState, which enables us to use state variables in our components. So just do import useState from React. Okay, so we're going to create our state here inside our component, inside our function. I'm gonna say this is how you write a state const. Use your square bracket and you say let's call it slide index. Call it a variable of slide index. On second, we'll call it set slide index. Equals to useState. So we give it an initial value of 0. This is how we use our state variable. We have a hook in React called useState. So it has if initial value, it has this is our value, and this set slide index is our setter function. It resets our initial state to whatever it wants it to be. So let's go into our arrow here. I think we should put it in this div, or let's where should we put it? Let me see. Let's put it in this div up here so that it takes the whole circle. let's create a on click on our arrow. This is an event, on click event, on click. Yeah, so we are going to call our click undo click, our function undo click. Undo click. It's going to take an argument or a parameter of left. Yep. So anytime you're taking a parameter, you use this arrow function so that it won't call. Use this arrow function so it won't call itself. It waits until you click. If you don't put this, it will call itself. So we are going to do the same thing. Our second div. This is the first arrow. Let me look for our second arrow. This is our second arrow. Yeah, but this one will be right. Arrow right. Okay, we are good now. So let's create our function. So we'll come down here and say const undo click is equals to so we take a prop here of direction. You see, we understand what I'm doing. Just a minute. Direction, and inside our function we use an if statement. We say if is a block of code here, so we'll do our expression inside here, and we say if direction, what am I typing? If direction is equals to this strict equality, if direction is equals to left, then execute our block of code, what we are going to write here. So this is an if statement. An if statement is a conditional statement that checks if the condition is true, it will execute the block of code inside these two curly braces here. Yeah, the block of code here. And this is a strict equality comparison. It doesn't do a data type conversion. You understand? It does. If let's say one, we can have one as number and one as a string. When I say string, that's this quotation around it. When we do, if we do this, this is not a strict equality. It can compare a number of 1 and a string of 1, do a comparison between it. But when we use the 3 equal sign, this is strict equality. They must be of the same data type. Understand? So we are now saying if we have left in a condition where direction is left, remember we took a prop here of left and the other one we change it to right. So if this condition is true, then want to carry out, want this our code here to be block of code here to be executed. And what do we want to put there? We want to use our setter function now. We say set slide index. We say slide index. If slide index is greater than 0, then use the question mark to write then It's my question mark. Then slide index -1. I'll explain to you in a minute, just hold on. Else 2. This is how you write your else, colon, else 2. You understand? I say it's an if else statement. So we'll do else set slide index if slide index is lesser than 2, then slide index +1. Else 0. So let me explain to you what we are doing here. Let me go to our you see, at the beginning we have 3 cards, and we are saying if slide index is greater than 0, that means it's in a case whereby we have, this is a case whereby we are in array is 0 base index. We don't count it 1 2 3, we count it 0 1 2 3. So we are saying if slide index is greater than 0, then we are saying that in that case we are above 0 and we are clicking left. So if we are above 0, that means we are probably on 1 or on 2. So we want to say slide index -1. So on card 2, if we click on left, 2 is greater than 0, will be on what? 1. On 1, we are still safe. We are in our on card 1. If we click left, now we are on 0. Now 0 is not greater than 0. If we click left again, we now want to go back to card 2, just the same as it applies to card, as well as it applies to clicking right. So we said if we click right and slide index is lesser than 2, then we say +1. That means if it's lesser than 2, it might be on 2, or it might be on 1, or it might be on 0. We want to increase it. Sorry, it cannot be on 2, it will be on 1 or 0. If you are clicking right, let's assume it's on 0, we want to go to 1. That's why we say slide index +1. If we click, if it's on 1, we click right, we want to go to 2. 1 is lesser than 2, we go to slide index +2. Now if we click 2, we are going to fall off. There's no card anymore. So we now said, in that case, take us back to 0. This is what we did here. So on your own time, just look through this code, you understand what we did. So we want to give this our arrow a prop of slide index is equals to slide index. You understand? So we now give it an inline style, and we say style, just follow me here, use double curly braces. We say style, I will say transform use backtick because we are going to render dynamic variable now. We say transform translate x, and this is where we render our string interpolation syntax. This is how you write string interpolation syntax. You can use it in CSS. Do this. Yeah, that's why we use the backticks. So what do you want to write into it? We now say slide index times times what? Minus 100. Then out here we use, don't forget, we are using VW. That is the entire viewport width. You get it? Yeah. So remember, this slide index, we have done a function that when we click, the value is going to change. That's what we have here in our setup function. Initially 0, but when we click, we have given it a condition. If it's greater than 0, then slide index -1, else 2. If it's lesser than 2, slide index +1, else 0. And let's see whether our function is working now. This Z index. Let's go to this let's go to this our CSS. Our other arrow has disappeared. Z index is just a way of arranging element on element. So let's give it a more priority by giving it Z index of 2. I want to bring it up. It has been covered. Z index of 2. Let's see. It's back here. What's happening? Let's take this style and let's go and put it. Where do we put it? Oh, sorry, this is meant to be in our slide. This variable, sorry, I made a mistake here. This is meant to be in our slide. Control X, not in our button. What we only need in our button is our event, on click event. It's meant to be in our slide. Where's our slide? Yeah, this. I'm meant to put all that here. Yep. So let's go back and check. You can see our function is working now. Lovely. You can see this. So it's that easy. You just take your time and follow through the logic. You know, JavaScript is something that you need to study closely. Just follow the logic. Is what we have done is not magic. It's just we apply this step by step. So we want to do something else, one last thing. Let's go into our styling. So our slide, and this should work. I think it's all 2 seconds is. You can see that, as simple as that. If you're on the first slide, it takes us to the last. It takes us to the one element and take us to 0 elements, to 2 elements, 1 element, 0 elements. It's that simple. So guys, it has been fun coding with you guys. Please help support this channel by subscribing and liking. And after this, the next class, we are going to be designing our category components. So guys, please click the subscribe button and like this video so it gets more pushed into the algorithm. So love you guys. I'll be coming up with our category, and after that we'll be having our product components. So take care. God bless you.